To Nevada now, where Democratic nominee Joe Biden is maintaining a narrow lead over President Trump. Biden has around 8,000 more votes than the president right now. However, that could change as more ballots are counted and additional results are announced throughout the day. Even though Nevada only has 6 electoral votes, clinching a win there would give Biden or President Trump a boost toward 270, which of course is needed to win the presidency. Right now, former Vice President Biden is leading with 253, while President Trump has 213. So for more on this, let's bring in Nevada Attorney General Aaron Ford. Mr. Attorney General, thank you so much for joining us. So explain to our viewers, what is the latest on the vote count right now? When will America finally know the final results?
Good morning, Vlad. Good morning, Anne-Marie. I want to get your question, but if you would allow me just real quickly to pick up on something you said a second ago, Vlad, and that is current President Trump's fighting against or denigrating elected officials doing their jobs. I just want to say that there's a lot of consternation out there about the time it takes to count. As I indicated yesterday, our election workers should be receiving commendation, not condemnation. They're doing a good job, and they want to get the tally right. So I want to say in Nevada, we're doing exactly that. But to your question, though, at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock this morning, we are going to be receiving additional vote counts from Clark County, which is here in southern Nevada, and Las Vegas, where I'm located, and up in Washoe County, which is more northern Nevada in the Reno arena, just to see what the current update is. What we have right now outstanding are ballots that ballots that have been collected on or after Election Day, so long as they were postmarked by Election Day. And this includes a lot of votes from mail ballots that were dropped off at polling places on Election Day. We also have votes that are being counted from those who registered on Election Day through same-day voter registration. And we have some provisional ballots. Not certain which or if all 3 of those types of ballots are going to be reported today at 9 or 10 o'clock, but those are the ones that are still outstanding.
Can we talk a little bit about why it's taking time to go through these ballots? Yes, there's a larger volume of mail-in ballots than there was before, but there are issues with mail-in ballots. You have to take your time to make sure that they're accurately filled out and they're legitimate. So just talk about why it's taking the time that it is.
Absolutely, and you've hit the nail on the head already. It's taken longer than normal this year because every active voter in our state received a mail-in ballot. Many voters chose to use that mail-in ballot process, and that's because our legislature, in its infinite wisdom, decided to give them the ability to exercise their constitutional right during a time of COVID and do it safely. And so processing a mail-in ballot takes time because elected officials and election officials have to ensure that no one has cast more than one vote. And that's why, for example, counting ballots requires us to institute safeguards to prevent fraud, like signature verification and looking at the unique barcodes and other tools. And, you know, to be sure, fraud is being detected as frequently as it needs to be because we know that ballot counting is overseen by a bipartisan counting board in each county in Nevada. We don't know how many ballots are left, but it's taken that time, again, because we understand that the result of an election only happens once, and that's when every lawful vote that has been cast has also been counted.
Mr. Attorney General, the President of the United States has, through the use of his Twitter feed, tweeted, I guess, what appears to be a quote from a former Attorney General of Nevada. And this is the President's tweet: "No question Trump would have won Nevada convincingly without mail-in voting." What's your reaction to something like that, where the president is suggesting that something that Americans can do and have done for many presidential election cycles is something that somehow would not benefit him, so it shouldn't happen?
Listen, I'll leave the hysteria and the hyperbole to those who are trying to undermine and denigrate the political process here. Politicians, however, won't be deciding who wins the election here in Nevada or in the United States for that matter. Americans decide who wins this election, and the only voice that matters is the voice of the voters. And here in Nevada, we're going to count every legal vote and let the will of the people speak for itself.
So CBS News has confirmed that Republicans are planning to file a lawsuit alleging voter fraud in your state, claiming that tens of thousands of people who voted no longer actually live in Nevada. Do you have a response to that?
Yeah, it's another example of a Hail Mary, as I heard many refer to these types of lawsuits yesterday. The truth of the matter is these individuals have filed lawsuits at least 3 times that my office has been involved in, and we've defeated them every single time. These are baseless claims. And again, the reason why it's taken time for us to count these ballots is to ensure that we don't, in fact, have voter fraud going on. And so you would think that these same individuals who are suing us would appreciate the delays here. On yesterday evening, they have complaints and protests saying it's taken too long to count the vote. And then today they're saying that they want us to ensure that we take the time as necessary to count lawful votes. It's ironic, again, that any delay in counting votes in Nevada is due to the time that it takes to prevent fraud and to ensure that only legal votes are counted. We're doing that here in Nevada.
And Mr. Attorney General, something that you said earlier at the top of our discussion, you talked about the civic duty of those folks who are working on making sure the election the votes are counted accurately. But we've seen some protests. You just mentioned them. We've seen protests taking place in and around some of these locations. Certainly our hope is that the folks who are doing their jobs, and one of the things that I've pointed out earlier is when you look at pictures of poll workers and people who are doing this job, that they look just like your neighbors that live down the street from you. Americans who take pride in getting this accurate and getting this right. Are they safe? Are they at all worried about the threats to themselves or to their colleagues? Because we've seen people get very, very heated in the days following the general election.
Well, here's what our faithful election workers should know, that I, as a top law enforcement officer in the state, have been working with other of our local law enforcement agencies to ensure that we are coordinated and can respond to issues of threats and violence. We are confident that we can get people to a scene to the extent that there are things that are taking place. At the end of the day, again, though, what we have to recognize is that these individuals are working hard. We should not be condemning them. We should be commending them. If others want to engage on the next election cycle going around on a volunteer basis to go out and perform a civic duty, we invite them to do so. And I also want to reiterate that, listen, my office takes fraud extremely seriously. In fact, we've prosecuted voter fraud in my administration over the past. And so, to the extent these individuals are protesting out of fear of voter fraud, understand that we have people on the inside of the building counting these votes who are doing their best to prevent fraud, and you have me on the backside ensuring that we're going to prosecute it if it is in fact found.
Nevada Attorney General Aaron Ford, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.